Hello everyone and welcome to the show where after the collision we sift through
The Wreckage.
the wreckage. I am your host Jimmy T and my co-host. He is the two-time opinion haver, even though I've always said he's the three-time opinion haver. He is a Rip Rogers guy and he's HMG's MVP. Vet, welcome back to the wreckage. Do we have a few, do we have to sift through quite a bit of wreckage?
Yeah, I feel like a insurance claims adjuster that has to go out to the site and yeah. But yeah,
man. Well, it's funny because off the air we're just talking amongst ourselves, and we were mentioning how Raw feels like the show in pro wrestling right now. Funny enough, but unfortunately for the collision, I mean, the last few weeks we're just sifting through all sorts of shit. Let me put it that way. Not just wreckage, but just shit. But it is what it is. And we also had Battle of the Belts. Was it 9? Battle of the Belts 9 or 10? I've forgotten already.
perhaps 9.
I think it is 9, if memory serves me correct. But it's funny. I fell asleep after watching Collision as I was watching Battle of the Belts. But it is what it is. But did I miss anything significant on Battle of the Belts actually, Vet?
Well, no, but I mean, I kind of missed it, even though I was watching it. I still missed it. But they go off the air on Collision hot, and they start Battle of the Belts hot because it's supposed to be that street fight.
Yeah. Wow.
And and then they do all that shit, and then how are you gonna follow it? But hey, surprise, surprise. Wrestling's full of surprises, Jimmy.
It sure is. And speaking of surprises, that's actually a great segue because we have, yes, that's right, you can hear it in the background, Oh Canada, the guy that invented the show, the real host of the Saturday Night Wreckage. It is Mr. Canada himself, Chris Ambs. Welcome back to your show, Chris. And what's the haps?
Hi guys. Hi. It's nice to be back, guys. Yeah, I am returning. I'm not hosting today because I've been sick as shit since I got back from Florida. But I am back from Florida, which means I'm back to do my show with you guys who have been holding down the fort and I think doing a better job than I had been doing when I was still here. So I'm back to ruin everything.
You're back on your show. You're back in your country.
I am.
Get the hell out of my country, pal.
I was there for quite a while, and I gotta say, I miss it already. I don't like being home. I purposely picked up a bunch of plastic straws and plastic bags because I can't get them in my country anymore. It's fucking ridiculous.
So was that one of your beach trips? You just went through the sand and grabbed them all up?
I legit went to like a Burger King and I just, they have like they just have the straws just sitting there next to the fountain drink machine. I just grabbed like 2 handfuls of them. I've got them stuffed in my car now. So whenever I go to fast food, I just rip that fucking paper straw out and I throw it out real angrily, and then I poke in one of those beautiful, wonderful plastic straws. Those big, thick plastic straws you get at like Burger King and McDonald's in the States. And I use that and I feel a little bit of Americana. I feel that little bit of warmness in my heart of your wonderful, wonderful country.
Well, before you actually respond to that, Vet, I just want to say one thing about these straws. He ain't wrong, actually, Vet, because even down here in my neck of the woods, even though we don't exist, but still, there used to be plastic straws in the land of non-existence. And now we've got those damn paper straws as well. And I'm not going to lie, I hate it, man. Going to McDonald's or Burger King and getting those stupid-ass straws, it is annoying as hell. And we need to go back to the way the US is doing it right now. I mean, Vet, trust me when I tell you, and I'm sure Chris, will also say the same thing. You don't realize what you missed until you lose it, dude. And plastic straws is exactly that. I'm not kidding.
One of the greatest innovations in mankind, apparently. I just, typical American, take everything for granted, don't realize my freedoms or appreciate them when they got all these. You can't swing a dead cat around without hitting a box of plastic straws. So, it would just never be. I could send you guys care packages of plastic straws anytime you need. Just let me know, and I will refill your straw. You could even get that little thing if you want to treat yourself, and you can get that thing, the dispenser where you like tap the little thing and a straw rolls down in the tray, and you can just,
Yeah.
Yep. You can feel like a real, high society. But yeah. But I'm glad that you made it home safe and sound. I'm glad you're back here on your show. And I'm glad that you recognize America as the greatest country in the world. And, I don't even consider myself patriotic. I just look at it as a sort of observation.
I'm not even like, I'm a pretty patriotic Canadian. I love my country. I actually think America is the greatest country in the world. Not only is it the greatest country in the world right now, but it's the greatest idea of a country ever in the history of the world. When you think about, like, I know I get a little bit, people get a little annoyed at me for talking this way, but I actually think that like the Declaration of Independence is it's one of the greatest written works of all time. When you really think about what it does for the people of a country, it's incredible. And if you want to know why I think it's so great, it's this. Canada had been considered very much Canada had been considered very much like the same as the United States, right? Like people had this opinion that Canada and Australia, they were equal to the United States, right? You could do everything in Canada and Australia that you could in the United States. We were just as free as you were, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, until fucking COVID happened. Then once COVID happened, our government started shutting down people's fucking bank accounts because they were honking horns in their trucks. What? And Jimmy's government started putting people in fucking camps because they had COVID. Like, I know that that's a bit of an over-exaggeration for what happened, but it's a bit of an exaggeration of what happened.
Yeah,
not much.
Exactly.
And if you would have pulled any of that shit in the United States, that Declaration of Independence, the paperwork, like as fucked up as it is, the paperwork that made your country would have absolutely annihilated your government's right to do any of that stuff. So yeah, I mean, patriotic, I love my country, but America is the greatest country in the world.
Like, yeah, I don't want to make it sound like we're, sucking the US's, third leg. But, truth be told.
Florida, by the way. So be sure to get yourself tested after you suck that.
I'm good.
Got that, pal.
I'm good.
No, but really, though, but he's not wrong. You know what I mean? I mean, our countries are basically built. I know they say, look, and I am Greek heritage, that everything is sort of, created, from democracy, the Greek way. But truth be told, we're kind of living the American system, just the way our cities, or in Chris's case, provinces, are built. You know what I mean? Like, we've got very much the American way of living, if that makes any sense, except we've got a lot less rights, believe it or not, compared to the US. Because if you guys went through what we went through, I guarantee you, and I was saying it then, you guys wouldn't sit for that shit. You guys would have rioted until you got your own way, and you just would have gotten your own way. That's the difference between the US and our countries. Like, my country, they tried to do that shit, and then they just gave up and just went with it. You know what I mean? Whereas in the US, I highly don't see that happening. You know what I mean? They would have turned on the government in a heartbeat. And, I don't even want to think of those COVID times. Put it that way, Vent.
Well, that's the thing. Like, America is just so big that, like, all of our states are bigger than a lot of countries, And so there's just so much land here. And you can't get that many people in agreement, which is why there's federal laws and why there's state laws and things like that. So, it's just a case of it's too much to control. You know, that is why America gets to be free. When I say things like it's the greatest country in the world, it's not because of the reasons that the usual redneck idiots say shit like that while they're driving their Ford trucks and listening to country music and whatever.
Yeah.
It's just because it's just like, you know, when you were in school and there was the substitute teacher and the kids ran wild in the class, like you can't do anything about it. It's too big and there's too many loopholes. So everybody can just come here, do whatever you want. And that's ultimately what the Declaration of Independence was all about. It was just, ever since the history of mankind and civilization, people have been making excuses to do whatever they want. And they'll do whatever it takes. They'll fight wars, they'll write laws, but ultimately it's just because we want to do whatever we want. And America has just, it has become like, the giant snowball rolling downhill that it just can't be stopped. We're too used to doing whatever we want. You can't stop us all. And anyone can come and take advantage of it. So if you're not happy with your current situation, just find your way here. Everything will be all right. There are so many loopholes, so many back doors, so many ways to do whatever you want. You can, you know, how many illegal refugees are success stories? They start their own small business and, you know, that grows into empires. You can do that here in America because we can't keep an eye on everybody all the time. It's great.
God bless
And we have
America.
plastic straws, don't forget.
Oh, that's the most important thing, dude. I'm just saying. Plastic straws. I don't know what the craze is. They say it's better for the environment, the paper ones, but is it really? I mean, anyway, God bless America. Because you guys, like I said, use it more free than you realize. I mean, I'm sure you know that, Vet, but, you know, some people like to say that the US is not as free. Bullshit, man. You guys, if you want to, like, have your voice heard, it will be heard. You know what I'm saying?
All
So,
right. But enough of that. Let's give some more points to Canada, right?
okay.
Anthem Entertainment, TNA, Moose is the new TNA champion.
He is? Did he really? Did he win?
Sorry if that's a spoiler, everybody. Moose did it. That's where the Moose 2 times comes in. 2-time.
Oh, wow.
TNA champion.
Moose.
Wow.
Moose.
Moose. Yeah.
Moose.
He doesn't even have that theme anymore, does he?
Yeah, he does.
Oh, he got it back? All right, because there was one point where he was using something else, man, like in TNA. But anyway.
Well, you could tell Jimmy doesn't watch Impact, but that's okay. It's all right. It's Moose is the champion. That's all you need to know. He's now the face of the company, but typical,
that's not all you need to know. Also, Dolph Ziggler showed up.
He's just, God damn it. So
what?
My transition. I was going to say, you know, in typical Moose and TNA fashion, you just couldn't let a brother just have something. You had to spoil it somehow. You had to give it to him backhandedly. You had to have fucking the Chinlock King come in and make his appearance before Moose has even had the belt for a full minute. You know, all of a sudden this fucking idiot comes in and gets in his face and takes all the attention away and takes all the, you know, steals all the thunder and all the spotlight. And oh my God, look who's in the impact zone, kind of. And I don't know if, you know, I don't know if you guys saw, maybe Jimmy did, but at the Wrestle Kingdom press conference, because he showed up there and got into it with, you know, David Finlay. That's going to be a barn burner. And afterwards, like, he shows up at the press conference when David Finlay is sitting down talking, and he jumps over the table at Finlay with just a comedic scream, like, yay! And jumps at him and starts beating him up and runs him off. And then he picks up David Finlay's belt, and then he starts talking, and this goes on for like the length of AEW pay-per-view, where he's just standing there, and it's just talking like cutting a promo. It's just like, this is just really not the. It reminded me of the scene in Mean Girls where Tim Meadows is like, seriously, most people just take the crown and go, and he just didn't. He does. The man has just no. You know, I know this is how things are kind of booked, but I'm just not looking forward to this new universe where Dolph Ziggler is a free agent and can pop up on any of the programs I try to escape him from.
Well, speaking of wrestlers you want to escape from, and speaking of New Japan Pro Wrestling, we saw, I think, the debut of Jungle Jack Perry, who happened to rip up his AEW contract. Yeah, shocking news. But I don't know how I feel about this. Is this a case of how about we throw him in New Japan and let him get that stank off, from AEW and what happened in All In the UK? Do you think that's what's happening here? He's on loan maybe for a year in New Japan?
Maybe, or he's still just under contract to AEW.
Oh, no, I'm sure he is.
Don't you, Chris, don't those contracts probably come with NDAs or something? Like, isn't that part of it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the strength of a contract isn't the actual paper that it's written on. Like, I'm pretty sure that that's not how contracts work. You can't just rip it up and then it doesn't mean anything. Otherwise, I know a bunch of people. Otherwise, I know a bunch of people who are going to stop paying child support right now. Like, right now, they're going to stop. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not how contracts work. And Jungle Boy's probably just on loan. I wish that New Japan would hire Jungle Boy, though, and just put him through the whole Young Boy system, like the whole thing. Beat the fuck out of him for about 5 or 6 years. And we'll see if he can make it, because that'd be great. But I want footage if they're doing that. I want the footage.
Well, Ian Cooper in the chat says, will Jungle Boy become a man in New Japan?
Yes, he'll become Forest Man. He grows up.
Perfect. Can't do any better than that.
That's why we miss you, Chris, right here on the Wreckage. I mean, seriously, that was too good. I hope that answers your question, Josh, as a matter of fact. Forest Man, where he finally becomes a man in the forest. They got to do something like that. God damn it.
Or as they would say in Japanese, Mori no Hito. That's how you would.
And Darkside Caster says in the channel, apparently Ali's also in New Japan as well. What's up with that, Vet? What's the go with Ali?
I saw a video he made where he was challenging Hiromu, and saying that, he's a disgrace or something. Because he's doing that whole president of the world gimmick, It kind of reminds me of like a Street Fighter character like M. Bison or something, Like he's got his vaguely dictator-esque world presidency. Or maybe like G from Street Fighter 5 is a more apt comparison, but yeah. So I mean, the gimmick's okay, I guess, but then the bell rings and it's still Ali. But we'll see. We'll see. Let's just give him a chance. Let's see what he does when he's not in the the WWE system.
I think Ali's got a chip on his shoulder right now and wants to prove everybody wrong on why he should be a main guy.
I don't care if he's got a whole bag of Lays on his shoulder. He's just, there's just not much there.
I agree.
Like there's just not. I don't think so. I don't enjoy his promos. I don't enjoy his matches, but I'm giving him a clean slate. Forget everything he did before. I'm just looking at this and I'll say, okay, what do you got? But what it seems like they're doing is they're taking these WWE free agents like a Nick Nemeth, like a Ali, whatever. And I think a company like New Japan can use those guys to sort of bolster their stateside shows, because those guys aren't going to want to move to Japan, certainly. And they're probably going to want to limit their tours of Japan. So this is mutually beneficial, because now you got guys that have a home base in the States and they can help New Japan shows in the States. So I think it's kind of a win-win there. Give them some star power, so we'll see where they go. A Battle in the Valley was, what was that? Was that last night or Friday? I think it was Friday.
Was it Friday or last? I think it was last night.
I don't even know, dude. There was too much shit this weekend because wrestling companies can't get together and plan out like a calendar correctly. But so it's like some weekends there'll be nothing, and then some weekends there'll be 5 things. So. But whatever. So I don't know much about that other than the Jungle Boy thing that you said, and I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. So who knows when I'll get around to that? But they're still gonna run shows here.
Yeah, and hopefully they pick it up. But Retro Rocket Review in the chat asks you, Vet, that you have to tell Chris Ambs about the Prime Minister too, not just the president of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Have you heard of the Prime Minister, Chris, of New Japan?
The Prime Minister of New Japan. I
Yes.
didn't he leave? I thought Kenny started AEW.
Tell him who the Prime Minister of New Japan Pro Wrestling is.
Prime Minister? There is no Prime Minister, but if you're talking about the president, if you're talking about President Tanahashi, then
well, yeah. that's one. But I'm sure Retro is alluding President Ace, and that's true. But I'm sure what he's alluding to is actually Zack Sabre Jr., who proclaimed to be the Prime Minister of New Japan Pro Wrestling. What a character, man! Yeah. Remember his little promo after the at the end of the show where everyone talks shit.
Apparently not.
Ah, well, it was pretty funny, that's for sure. Zack Sabre Jr., man, he's something else. Chris, are you a fan of Zack Sabre Jr.?
No.
You're not? Wow.
No. He's incredible in the ring. Obviously, he can do things that other people just can't do. But he's also not, from everything I've seen, he's not a great storyteller. He's a great move doer. And that's cool. I appreciate people who can do moves. But I don't see him sell properly. I don't see him do things like when he has a big match, he's basically off for a month or two after that. And if you have to take a month or two off and the company that you're with isn't telling proper stories in between, which is generally what seems to happen, people just forget about you. They don't care that you had a good match. They'll cheer for you or whatever, but you're not making money that way. You need to stay, front and center, or you need to go away for long enough that people can miss you. And Zack Sabre Jr. seems to be just right in the middle of that, where he goes away for long enough to be forgotten, but not long enough to be missed. And when he's around, I don't like his promos. I can barely understand what the fuck he's saying. He's speaking my native language, and I have no idea what the fuck he's talking about half the time. Listen, bruv. It's I'm the real best in the world, bruv. It's like, bro, can you just
that's Will Ospreay. You're thinking
that's Will Ospreay. Yeah, I was gonna say the same.
Have you been thinking it was Will Ospreay?
I was thinking about Will Ospreay this whole time. Jesus Christ, I'm rusty.
No, we're talking about the skinny technical wrestling.
Okay, Zack Sabre Jr. Yeah, I like his matches. Everything else is crap. Everything else.
His promos are
really
awesome,
bad.
Dude. Come on.
No, yeah. I don't like his promos. I don't like.
I love his promos.
I like his matches, and I don't know. Everything else is he's too small. He looks like a guy who would get broken. I will say that that Vet put me onto one of his matches that I really, really liked, but of course it was against Okada, so I can't really give Zack Sabre Jr. the credit for that. And other than that, he had a really good match against Daniel Bryan too, not too long ago, that I liked. I don't know if everybody else liked it as much as I did. But I don't find him interesting enough to care. Like I just unironically, misconstrued him with the other British guy who's kind of skinny and has decent matches. So like
you're sick. You're sick. You're ill. You can't.
I'm sick, and it's been a month since I podcasted. So it's
and you're hurt, and you're old,
true,
and you're fucking tired.
And I play with children, and I work with children.
Was there some news about Zach, Jimmy, or did you just want to bring that up because someone wrote the words Prime Minister in the chat?
Yeah, basically that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Is there any more news, and is there anything else going on besides the 5 shows this weekend?
Yeah. Wow. I think there might have been one, but it's sort of left my mind right now. But it mustn't be that important because I would have remembered it. I think that pretty much sums up all the big news, really, because shit started popping off pretty much the last couple of days in the world of pro wrestling. So, yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. So, in saying that, boys, I think it's time we sift through the wreckage.
Let me get my sifting gloves.
I think we're all going to need a set of gloves.
Coffey's the greatest English wrestler. First of all, he's Scottish. Second of all, he's too short and too stupid. So, Uh, so how about a Cope Open? Let's go with a Cope Open. Now, Chris, I think you rightly, probably, if I assume correctly, didn't watch jack shit of wrestling the entire time you were enjoying your life, right?
Nope.
Okay. So just a little background. Adam Copeland probably spent all day last week coming up with the term Cope Open. And then he, in a promo, said, I don't know, let's do an open challenge. We can call it the Cope Open or something like that. Like he threw it away like he didn't, spend his life trying to come up with it. So just so you know, that's why this is called this. He's trying to pretend that it was just something off the cuff that he came up with.
Yeah.
But it is an apt name. I'm glad they stuck with it, because that means that you have to cope with watching Edge matches like on a possibly weekly basis.
Also, he has to cope with no fans on the hard cam side. So there's
Oh,
a lot
boy.
of coping.
That's a lot of coping. That's
also,
true.
he's coping with being from a country where you can't get plastic straws. So
well, he's
He's
lived
in America for a long
exactly.
time.
Which means he'd be,
and that's probably why probably why he originally moved. But speaking of no fans, Lee Moriarty is the person that answers the challenge, and he so has no fans that they had to play a hype package on his way down to the ring, which that's very bad. I just want to say, Lee Moriarty, lest anyone think that I would disparage the kid, he's fine. He's just fine. He's been on Ring of Honor. He's doing the thing with Shane Taylor Promotions and everything. So he's stayed busy, and that's why you've had to, you had to watch this hype package because, again, no fans. So you're not watching Ring of Honor. You're going to have to be like, oh yeah, remember this guy? He was around for a while in AEW before he got, shipped down there. So, but he's back to challenge Edge, with his technical wrestling. And so they say what they have to say to Edge, and Edge says something like, well, here's what I'll say to Edge. Don't say y'all. You're not from the South. You're not urban. It don't fit. Any of my brothers here in the chat, maybe Zane Vicious, can you thumbs up or down on Edge saying y'all in the context he said it? Are you offended or not? Anyway, they had a match. I assume it was fine enough. I think I was buying my lunch at the time, so I can't really tell you, but I'll throw it to our returning host, Chris, if you saw any of this through your fever haze.
I did see this match. I also saw the intro, which I laughed audibly when they started playing a promo package for Lee Moriarty, because it was like, since we know for sure you've never seen Lee Moriarty or forgot about him, if you did see him, here's a video of some of the stuff he can do. That
cat mask.
That made me fucking chuckle. Also, Edge trying to sound tough in general as a babyface is just dumb. He sounds great when he's like edgy as a heel, right? But his edge as a heel, I mean, his edge as a heel, is to be slimy and sneaky and kind of
the ultimate opportunist. Shall we say?
that's his niche, right? As a heel. Sounding tough is just not, it doesn't sound right coming out of Edge. And the Cope Open, we're gonna have a Cope Open.
Sounds like a tennis tournament, man.
Because it's not a cold open. There's a P instead of an LD. I'm a genius.
And it's his name, and we have to cope with it. Just for the record, Edge gets a hood pass from Zayn, but
he does, yeah. He says up with Cope, down with dope. Does that mean you're up and down for both?
Oh, okay. Does that mean he's up with Adam Copeland and down with Lee Moriarty? Because that's yeah. Anyway, this match was fine. Lee Moriarty is a good little wrestler. Like, he's actually good at the
little wrestler.
But everything that he does inside the ropes is good. He's a good wrestler. He sells. He works a style that's very old school in terms of like being kind of a catch as catch can wrestler. I know that that gets overused, but really, if you watch Lee Moriarty matches, that's what he does. He does a catch as catch can style with a little bit of American flair in there. I like watching his matches. I just wish that he had some kind of personality, because I wear a cat mask is a mental problem. It's not a personality. Um, yeah, other than that, this was fine. This was just Edge getting some work in against a kid. And I'm sure Edge was like, oh yeah, kid, well, I'll make you look like a star out there. And didn't, because he's Edge and Edge can do Edge matches. It was fine. It was just fine.
Jim?
Yeah, it felt like deja vu to me from last week. Let's be fair. I mean, sure, it was a different wrestler going up against Adam Copeland, Edge, whatever you want to call him. But this Cope Open, what's it leading to, guys? Really?
Well, he's working his way back up,
Is that what it is?
Because yeah, he's not just going to exercise his immediate TNT rematch clause. Christian told him he needed to start from the bottom and work his way back up the line. And Edge, like any true babyface with with an attitude, agrees with the heel and does exactly what he says. So that's where we're at.
It just feels a little stale for my liking. And since when, like, does a person who's starting from the bottom again throw out an open challenge to what? So if he gets defeated, just say, what does that mean? He just goes lower down the ladder? I mean, is there even a ladder anymore, guys? I mean, what the hell?
I don't remember the open challenge in the Drake song. I feel like it would have been there.
Yeah, started from the bottom and now we're here. I guess in Edge's case, he's in AEW. And
more Canadian content. Yeah.
I mean, and that's fine and all, but I just feel like he's just there doing whatever. I mean, AEW this week as a whole had a whole bunch of absolutely no meaning behind most of these matches, man. At all. Like, I mean, especially Dynamite, no meaning, really. Nothing. There was no reason for all these matches to happen.
Well, I do like the idea of all these wrestlers coming out and making all their own decisions, as if there's a guy that has nothing to say about it in the backstage. Like, like if I was,
that's exactly what Dynamite felt like this week. I know we're going backwards here, but I watched Dynamite so that Jimmy and I can do the skirmish eventually here. And it really felt like Tony just was busy arguing with Jinder Mahal and couldn't bother writing a show. So everybody was just like, I guess you and me and then this guy, and we'll have an 8-man. We'll have an 8-man. Oh, we already had an 8-man. Let's have another 8-man.
Another one. Right.
Let's just fucking go out. Does our teams make sense? No, it doesn't fucking matter. Let's just get out to the ring and fucking wrestle. That's legitimately how Dynamite felt this week. It was fucking awesome.
And that's all fine. That's just classic wrestling. But in the bigger picture and scheme of things, it would just be nice if just one time, like, Edge says he's going to do an open challenge type deal, and Tony Khan's like, I didn't sign you to a big money contract to do open challenges. I'm going to book you against these guys. Like somebody just shut down the wrestlers with their stupid booking. Like, why does he have to approve everything? So just things to think about. And that goes for any wrestling company, because it happens at every single one of them. Yeah. I would
went to Tony and was like, Tony, listen, I know that you want to make money with me. I understand that that's why you signed me. You want me to have big matches against big wrestlers so that we can have big things and everything and make lots of money. But listen, I came up with this idea last night. It's going to blow you away. Listen. Cope Open.
Yeah. Cope.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? And Tony was like, yeah, cool. Yeah, do it.
Yep. There was never a wrestler that just, came in after a long hiatus and just wrestled Lee Moriarty for no reason, right? Nobody was ever working for AEW and then fired from there that's done that, right? This is a first time ever. Okay. Just checking. Well, anyway, Lexi is with GTFO, I guess. That's what I'm thinking about this pairing. Or
the fuck over.
You call it a pairing? It could, yeah, I guess you could pair 2 and 1 as a pairing, right? That's a pairing, right? All right. Well, anyway,
yeah.
FTR and Daniel Garcia. Isn't this the dream team that we all wanted?
Oh God.
Thoughts, Jimmy? Jimmy, you have thoughts on this?
Seriously, do you really want my thoughts on this?
Well,
Because I'll just start
I would
breaking
like
plates.
to move on, but let's
Please,
go on.
let's
with the
move
show.
on because I will absolutely destroy this right now. And honestly, I don't want to be that angry already.
This was
You know what
so
I mean?
fucking annoying. Like
Oh, there you go.
that first hot tag to Daniel Garcia was embarrassing.
Oh, we're not at the match. We're just at the promo with Lexi.
Yeah.
Okay, Jesus Christ, just bad. Just why put these guys together, especially when you've got another guy who you're clearly trying to get over, right? Who's a big kid, right? He's got a good size, good look, everything like that. In what is Preston Vance, right? You've got that's a good looking kid, right? He's at least got the look department for professional wrestling, right? If nothing else, right? But Daniel Garcia has nothing else and no good look, right? Why not pair Preston Vance with FTR instead, right? So no, we're going to put somebody who literally makes me want to turn the fucking television off with what I still think of as the best fucking tag team in the world. God, this fucking pissed me off.
Let's be honest, guys. Do we need anyone like teaming up with FTR? I mean, seriously.
Yes, they can do it on their own. Being the best tag team in the world isn't good enough. You got to be the best trio in the world now. Also, I would team up Preston Vance with his own faction. That's what I would do.
Yeah,
but
that's a great
who cares
idea,
about that?
Vic.
I mean, I think Roosh is hurt, so
He is?
too bad. Lexi's with Les Sex Gods. Whatever about this, except for that Chris Jericho says, they say the streets giveth and the streets taketh away. No one says that.
No.
The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Some people say that. They don't say anything about the streets. They say other things about the streets, many things about the streets. That's never been one of them. Although I will check again with Zane Vicious and any other people in the chat who may be able to correct this. Just throw that out there. But now we get speaking of you gotta be in a trio, it's Lance Archer and the Righteous versus the Mogul Embassy for the Ring of Honor 6-man championships. At a glance, this is a good matchup. I mean, if you look at the guys, like they each sort of have like a counterpart on the other side. But that's at a glance. If you look carefully, you'll see some funny stuff.
Do we ever?
Starting with Brian Cage and Lance Archer, right? So here you have two beefy powerhouse guys, right? One of which that can do some pretty athletic things in the ring, and one of which fell on his head trying to do athletic things in the ring. But here's the deal. This is the philosophy I always say. If you're a guy like Brian Cage and you can do these things, I would like you to save it for times like this. It makes sense when the normal power, when you're up against somebody that's at your equal or better, then you might have to break out those Hurricane Ranas and those other things that people don't expect you to do, because then it's like, oh, I had to dig deep into a bag of tricks. And if we've never seen it, we might be excited because we didn't know he had that in his bag of tricks. But because Brian Cage is Mr. GMSI and does whatever he wants all of the time against anyone, regardless of size or stature or position in the company or on the card or whatever, he just does whatever he wants, then this is just another Brian Cage in the ring moment.
Pulling Hurricane Ranas against Fuego del Sol or whatever. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Right. So, Chris, you watch a lot of hockey. Matter of fact, on your vacation, you went to mini hockeys.
I did. I went to 3 different NHL games when I was down there. Yes.
Right. So you're the perfect person to ask this question. If Vincent and Bishop Khan get in a hockey fight, who do you think's coming out on top of that one?
Ooh, that's a tough one. No, it's not tough. Yeah. Like, I don't know. This match was frustrating for a lot of different reasons, and you've already touched on a couple of them. But like there were so many logical inconsistencies in this, and you're right. Like everybody's got, a pretty decent, partner right on the other side. But why not make it make sense, right? Like, if you're if you're smaller than the other guy, then do things that make sense as the smaller guy. If you're, if you're trying to go punch for punch, blow for blow, like you said, hockey fight against somebody who outweighs you by 100 pounds, you should just get thrown around. You should just fall down after 2 punches, right? I mean, I think one personally, from a logic standpoint, somebody's 100 pounds heavier than you, punches you in the face, you should just fall down, right? That should be, oh wow, that was, and you don't have to be out, you don't have to sell dead, but you got to drop because holy fuck, right? So yeah, watching two people trade who, the weight difference is that much is it's insulting as somebody who's ever watched combat sports too. It's not just hockey, right? I love boxing, I love MMA. You don't compete against someone who's 100 pounds bigger than you.
No. Also, just the character of Vincent shouldn't be like, that's not his job to be going toe to toe with anybody. The whole thing is that he's, crafty and snaky and possibly weak, but good enough.
Serene.
Just that's the whole thing. So yeah, you can snap, and also, by the way, I don't know if everybody knows this, but he was originally part of the Kingdom. So what do you think this guy thinks when he's sitting there watching everybody else get this main event spot with Adam Cole, and he's sitting over here on Collision in this fucking 6-man tag, and he's like, look, man, just for me, man, just let me go 50-50 with Bishop Khan, man. Come on, man.
You know what he's probably thinking is, I really hope when I shave my beard, WWE doesn't recognize me, and I can go to WWE. It's probably
they're not interested.
They're not. Vance Archer. Wasn't that what they called him, Vance Archer?
Who?
Lance Archer. Yeah, in WWE.
It was Lance Hoyt. Yeah, it was Lance Hoyt, I think.
In TNA, he was Lance Hoyt. In WWE, he was Vance Archer.
Yeah.
And here he's Lance Archer. But like Josh says, yeah, he enjoyed Lance Archer or Hoyt teaming up with Kid Lash. I think you mean Kid Cash in TNA wrestling. Yeah,
he was
a long time ago.
Better in New Japan with Bulldog's kid.
Well, yeah, part of Suzuki-gun.
Yeah, sure.
Right,
I just wanted to mention Japan and seem like I know what I'm talking about with Japanese
Japan
wrestling.
is cool. Japan's pretty cool. So anyway, surprising nobody, Jimmy. The 6-man titles are retained by the Mogul Embassy, and then Prince Nana challenges Bullet Club Gold for some reason. I don't know why he's challenging them, but he's doing it. So,
Jimmy, I need you to highlight Lab Rat's latest comment.
Oh, God, don't do it. Don't you do it.
Go say it. To make the show great, just fill it with JD Drake.
Yeah.
And speaking of rhyming,
it's going to get filled with JD Drake, all right?
That sounds off, man.
Because anytime he's on the screen, you're not seeing anything else. Aaron Ben Shlomo asks, Vet, who is in charge to control people like Cage and tell them what to do, not to do in the ring? I mean, ultimately, it's your promoter is going to tell you what they want on the show. They're not going to necessarily tell you how to have a wrestling match, but we all see how that goes. So, Tony is... he knows his role enough not to tell a wrestler what to do, even though he could. But that's just not his personality. He just hired Brian Cage and was like, yeah, do whatever you want, Brian Cage, I guess. Like, I'm not going to tell you. So, but it's ultimately, it's Brian Cage is supposed to know. Like, he's just supposed to know. Like,
he's just supposed to know, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, somebody is supposed to teach him, and then he's supposed to pass that on to the next athletic jacked guy. Like, he's, that's how we do this. We hand these tricks of the trade and psychology, we hand it down,
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know how many people listen to the shows that we do that are actually active wrestlers in the business, but I hope it's more than zero, because
we do have a few, actually.
It should if they're not going to learn it from the companies they're working, maybe they can hear something I say. And as long as they don't have the attitude of, well, who did the vet ever beat? Then maybe they can take some of this and use it for themselves. That's my hope. I'm not going to get in there and do it myself anymore. I gave that up a long time ago, but with this, I can take the stuff I've learned and do something with it constructive, hopefully. And, with a liberal dose of humor sprinkled in as well.
The vet way.
Yeah, the vet way. So
actually, speaking of that, before you continue, vet, remember last week how you showed, you posted the link on the match that you, you're the agent for. Well,
did anybody go and watch that link, guys? Let me know if you.
Well, I was going to ask, have you got any other matches? Because at the end of the show, I'd love to play the match for everyone to see it properly if they didn't click on
it. Nothing good.
No,
I could post a match of me, but it's not like it's not a teaching tool for sure.
Right. No, but you know what? I might even play that match at the end so everyone can see it if they didn't see it, because
it's only like
must
a minute.
See. Right. And if I knew that then, I would have done it last week. But anyway, Zane Vitch is a poet. He just didn't even know it, because he said the hood giveth and the hood taketh away. That's what he says.
Yeah,
that's
what he says. I'm sure still nobody else says that, but nonetheless, just checking. At least it's not it wasn't what Chris Jericho said. All right. So for anybody that watched the match, or even if you didn't, or you're going to later, or if you're going to see it, if Jimmy posts it, just the backstory of the match was, I was backstage at just hanging out, and I saw these two guys going over their match. And they were trying to have like a match, like, okay, let's lock up and let's do this. And then they were like, I don't know. And then they saw me and they were like, hey, vet, we have to do this match. What do you think? And I was like, well, I think you should do this. And I just told them what I thought they should do. And then what you see in that minute or so match is exactly everything I said. They just did exactly what I said.
And it was
they didn't have to. It wasn't, they didn't have to, but that was just, something I came up with, standing there just hanging out for those guys. So anyway, I don't remember why that all came up last week, but whatever. So
good question.
Yeah, please enjoy that. Lexi is with that guy Vance. They're interrupted by the Undisputed Kingdom, and Vinny was like, man, I should have been in that, man. I should have been another bit, man. But he wasn't. I don't remember what was said. Was anything of importance said here?
Meh, not really.
It was Preston Vance. Of course, nothing important was said.
Yeah. All right. So the next match is Dustin Rhodes versus Willie Mack. So I was watching this and I was like, okay, well, it's about time Willie Mack got a little shine. And then, guys, why in 2024 is Dustin Rhodes winning a match on television for any reason? I mean, I already know that's sort of a rhetorical question because I know what they think the answer is, but I still want to ask it rhetorically anyway, just to see what everybody else says and what they think and their thoughts on the whole situation. And then if it matters after that, I'll tell you why they did this, but it should be pretty obvious that this is not where you use a Dustin Rhodes, and Willie Mack is not the guy to do it with. But Jimmy, I'll go to you first. What were you thinking when you saw this?
First of all, what's the meaning behind this? Like, it's just, again, what is it? Like, there's no meaning behind it. This is not how and why you use Dustin Runnels in, for this type of match. At the end of the day, is Mac even signed with AEW? I don't think he is.
Probably. Well, they keep booking him on Ring of Honor and stuff, so he's getting paid.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's got a long-term deal, but I'll put it this way. I'm not seeing him pop up anywhere else.
Yeah, true. Fair point. But really, I mean, they make him look like a big, fat-ass jobber, man. Really. I mean, he's just there to take losses. And what does this do for Dustin?
He's like a JD Drake I want to see.
True. I used to be a fan of Willie Mack like a few years back. You know what I mean? He was, I don't know, there was a point where he was getting a lot of steam, and now he looks like a steam train, literally. And I mean that in in a weird way. But you know what? He's a lot like what's his name, Brian Cage, where he can actually do a lot of flying maneuvers for a guy his size, which is quite impressive. But again, why would he need to do those type of moves anyway? He shouldn't even do that, considering look at the size of the guy, and he's not in the best shape either. To be fair,
Chris, why in 2024 is Dustin Rhodes winning a match?
Well, I mean, listen, you got to build the kid. You know, you gotta, this young guy, he really needs the wins. You know, he's got to build himself into something before he can do anything. No, I'm just fucking around. Dustin Rhodes is like your prime example of a guy who's made. He doesn't need to win another match in his entire career, and people are going to love him.
not at all.
People are going to cheer for him. People are going to be emotionally invested in what he's doing because he's Dustin, and we all fucking love Dustin. And listen, I can honestly say that, like, I love Dustin Rhodes. He's a guy. He's a guy.
He's a natural, bro.
Yeah, I want to watch him wrestle. I want to see him do good things.
Well, yeah.
You know, and I want good things for Dustin, so I'm going to cheer for him when he comes out, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't need him to get wins against people who are young and new to the company. Like, you want to do something with Willie Mack? You can't have him lay down in this.
I've got a feeling I got the answer. You know, since we know TK loves to be, snorting some of that good shit, shall I say, maybe he thinks that Dustin is really Cody Rhodes.
Oh.
Yeah. Have you guys thought of that? I mean, that's possible. I bet you he sees Dustin like, hey, Cody. I mean, Dustin, Cody. Like, he's just glitching. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. Maybe that's why he's a young whippersnapper, literally, in TK's eyes.
All right. Well, I didn't understand it at the time. I would come to understand it later.
Right.
So before we get to that reason, Bullet Club Gold answers Prince Nana's challenge. So they will see him on Dynamite for those 6-man titles. And it is going to be weird if they don't win. But it's also going to be weird if they do, because Ring of Honor? That's not good. We don't want that. So anyway, after that is Renee Paquette with Dustin backstage. And before he can get a word out, here comes the Christian entourage. And, of course, they make a comment about his dad being dead. So that's excellent. But, yeah, so then I was like, okay, so this ends up a thing where it's like, okay, so now Christian is challenging this downtrodden person who just won a match against Willie Mack. But other than that one win that he's gotten, however many matches, he's downtrodden. So that's when I realized, oh, I see. Somebody's genius idea was like, oh, well, before Dustin has a match with Christian, we got to give Dustin a strong win which is just the laziest, most, I don't get it. I live in a wrestling bubble, whatever. As a matter of fact, if you wanted to hype a match with Christian and Dustin, you should especially have Dustin lose, because then Christian comes in and he's like, what are you still doing here? Like you and I started, like we've been doing this around a similar amount of time, and I'm a champion and I've got an entourage and I've got this kid's mom. And what the fuck do you got? You got a tag team partner that can't stay healthy. You got a brother that doesn't work here anymore. You got a dead dad. Like, this is the kind of stuff that Christian would say. And then it's like, now we doubt Dustin because he just lost, but we're also rooting for Dustin because he just lost. And we want him to punch Christian in the mouth. And we want him to, this is what wrestling is. And they're doing like the complete opposite of that.
And then you can pull it off too, especially Dustin's good at showing emotion when he wants to, right? So it could be potentially, right? Yeah. Potentially this could have been a fire feud, really, if done right. But like you said, Vet, don't think
so we just sacrifice Willie Mack for nothing.
For nothing. Like for literally nothing. For less than nothing. For negative value. Like that's what drives a person nuts. It's not so much when there's a wash, right? When there's a wash, you can just go, it's wrestling, right? But when you're doing something that actively makes people worth less, it's like, what the fuck is going on here, guys? And like you said, I mean, imagine the buildup there, right? Because then you're doing a lot of things. First of all, it's Christian being a bully, right? But secondly, it's Christian, kind of trying to start shit and have a match against somebody that he knows can't compete with him, right? You've got the Bret Hart versus El Dandy thing, right? Who are you to question El Dandy?
I remember that.
He's
From
a jam
Thunder,
up
that
guy,
was.
right?
Yeah.
You've got that kind of thing going on, right? And then you've got Dustin. You could have a segment where Dustin's talking to somebody and you can see Dustin actively questioning himself, right? And then you can see before the match he's fired up and somebody comes in. I don't know who the fuck it is, but somebody comes in and is like, Dustin, what are you doing? Like, I can see you these last couple of weeks getting ready for this match and you're questioning yourself. You know who the fuck you are, Dustin? Right? And gets them hyped, right? Gets them all up, right? Gets the crowd up for it, right? You can tell a beautiful story going into a match between these two if you just have a little bit of foresight to plan something out and do like 2-3 weeks of television before a match. But no. Bluey is awesome, by the way. Bluey is fantastic. I love
Bluey is one of the best exports out of Australia. It seems,
Yeah, I was going to
man.
say, from a country that doesn't exist, Bluey's blowing up.
I'm telling you, man.
So yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah, this is one of those instances when people talk about wins and losses matter, and a win hurt Dustin here.
Yep.
So there you go. If you ever wondered how that was possible,
that's
textbook.
probably what happened. That probably plays into it a lot, right? Because TK's been getting a bunch of shit lately, right? He got annihilated by fucking Jinder Mahal on Twitter, right? Like, Jinder just said one fucking thing, and it just blew up Tony's whole fucking world, and he's sad.
He killed
probably
him,
had
bro.
a cry about it, right?
Killed
Probably
him.
went and had a cry about it. But then, so they were like, oh, we're going to set up this match between Christian and Dustin. Well, we got to make sure he gets a win on TV, because otherwise somebody's going to tell me on Twitter that he hasn't had a win, and he's getting a title match, and that's not right. And he needs to be getting wins in order to get title matches and blah, blah, fucking blah. Like, he gets so fucking into this shit that he just gets tunnel visioned into making even worse mistakes constantly.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of mistakes, our next match is Hangman Adam Page versus JD Drake. And guys, let me tell you,
This is all
I saw on Twitter that Dr. Jeff Lippman said that this was the best match on the show. And I was like, thanks for the heads up that this match was on the show. I need a hard skip because I have time constraints and I'm not going to be able to fit in the whole show on my lunch break. So guess what happened here, guys? This match did not get seen by me. However, I did see a buckshot lariat, and not like the outcome was in doubt. But does anybody have anything they'd like to say? Perhaps a certain Mr. Ambs. Do you have anything to say for yourself, Mr. Ambs?
JD Drake MVP.
Yeah. I mean, can we just call him the Blob at this point? Like, seriously, he's getting more rounder every week that I see him on television, man. And please, remember how we were saying last week, Vet, about the women and how the female wrestlers don't get recognized unless they're not wearing pants? Well, I'm going to emphasize this once more. JD doesn't get recognized when he's wearing pants. But in this case, he needs to be wearing pants. I mean, this guy is just... And a shirt. Heck, he should be wearing pants.
And probably suspenders to keep his pants up.
Yeah. I mean, God damn it, man. I mean, why?
Oh, God.
Someone tell me why.
I watched this match. I watched this match, and it was as embarrassing as you'd imagine. It was bad. It was yeah. That's
Even
a good comment.
Even the Blob from Marvel Comics would be like, put a shirt on. Yeah, whatever. Like, we could fat shame JD Drake, but the real reason I don't like him is because I just think he sucks. Like, in every way a wrestler can suck. So, that's all. I'm sure he's a nice man and he's clearly trying. I don't blame him for trying. Why?
All right,
get
he
your
actually
money,
has
JD
been. Let's
Drake.
be
Get
real.
your money, bro. Be a workhorseman and get that money. He's getting the TV time. But
why though?
intensely
he getting the
dislike him
TV
for
time?
whatever reason. Well, I know what
No.
reason, because he had a match with Keith Lee once and he actually tried to go 50-50 with Keith Lee. So I was like, you know what? Fuck this guy. But that's just, that's my own personal thing. Everybody else can think whatever they want, but
If anyone
I
ever
just
makes
know,
a JD Drake
hey,
shirt,
I'm sure he
I'm
saves
sending you
people a
one,
lot
Vet.
of money on their mortgages and everything like that. He's got a wonderful podcast network, with all your favorites like Bruce and Eric and
And Shivani.
JR and everything. So, but just as a wrestler, I'm just not entertained. I'm sorry.
They could pass as brothers though, for sure.
Media M5 says Drake has gotten too indie. He's never been pro. What the fuck are you talking
Yeah.
about? All he's ever
Come
been
on,
is
pal.
indie.
Oh man, well Todd Brownie, the
Is
comment
that
king,
angry
says in
enough
the
for
chat-
you, Aaron Benchlomo?
Yeah. Todd says Drake should start dressing and looking like the big boss man. You know what? I kind of agree with him. If anything, make him Hakeem the African Dream all over again. Why not? You could pass. You can start doing the moves. Get the Doctor of Style slick in his corner, and we're off to the races. Why not?
I actually think that
first
he
thought on
needs,
the boss man was less clothes, please.
I actually
Yeah.
think that he needs a better corner man. I think he needs somebody. I think he needs somebody in his
sister.
corner who has some real opinions, and I think that would be a great pairing. JD Drake and the Vet.
I'll
That's
give him
his
the
dream.
best advice he'd ever gotten in his career. I was like, all right, kid, here's what you
Retire.
do. You want to get over? Take 2 weeks off and quit the business. All right. So next we have a virtuosa versus a chef. So this is a
Are they
very
both chefs?
a clash of styles here, wouldn't you say? Yeah, you don't normally see this. I also appreciated that Kevin Kelly dropped Rip Rogers' name. So as a Rip Rogers guy, that was nice. Anytime Rip gets some recognition on TV. Yeah, and I missed Deanna. Like, we were ships passing in the night, so I never actually met this young lady. But nonetheless, she's doing well for herself, and she is now part of the All Elite team. But yeah, so that being said, for some reason, I seem to have been distracted during this. I assume it was the best ever. Jimmy, was I right? Was it the best ever?
Oh, the best. It was an absolute virtuosa performance from the virtuosa. I mean, no, seriously, cool. Again, what have they done with her since she's actually really been part of this company? Unless she just, appeared. But like, they're not going to do anything with her. I'm sure she'll win the championship eventually. And then what?
And then she'll be
Nothing.
the champion. And then she'll
that's it,
beat
yeah.
everybody.
Yeah, right. Yeah, keep dreaming, Vet. Let's be honest, man. And Vet really just hired her just to like shut everybody up. He gets a lot of criticism for his women's division, and I mean, I don't blame people for giving him the all the criticism, but that's all he did. He just brought her in to shut everyone up, man. Essentially,
I can see a
everyone's
pretty
like,
interesting path forward for Deonna Purrazzo, actually.
I hope so. I want to agree with you on that, man. But with his company, I just don't know anymore, dude.
All right, well, let me lay out a scenario for you that I think that they might even be at least partially going forward with. When she did the pre-match thing with Velvet on Dynamite, Velvet came in and was challenging her or whatever, and Deonna was like, "Oh yeah, oh, you're a baker? Is that the arm that you stir with?" Right. So
nice.
she was
nice.
asking ahead of time, right? Because like, okay, I'm gonna break that fucking thing, right? I'm breaking that fucking thing for sure. I think she needs to lose to Toni Storm, first of all, because Tony's just fucking excellent right now. Like, I mean, I like Deonna Purrazzo, but Toni Storm, like, honestly, the best thing about Dynamite was a 30-second clip with Toni Storm just acting like a fucking maniac. Like, she's hilarious. She's wonderful. She's got a great charisma to her. I don't think you take the belt off of her right now. And you have Deonna Purrazzo just snap and go nuts. And for the next few months, all she's doing is just doing the Pentagon gimmick from Lucha Underground. I'm just here to break arms. Fuck you. and your arms. I'm taking arms, and that's the only fucking thing I want to do here. I'm just here to hurt people. I don't give a shit about winning and losing matches. I'm mad. I just want to fucking hurt somebody in the ring, and that's what I'm doing here. I think that that's actually a really cool path forward for her that would, first of all, allow her to lose the match, but secondly, give her a little bit of something different from everybody else in the division if they would be serious about it and just move forward with that as a gimmick for her for the next, like I said, 2-3 months would be awesome. And I think you'd build her up as a really dangerous opponent for anybody.
But Chris, you know you're wishing way too much here, right? You
Oh,
know
I
that
know.
shit ain't gonna happen.
I'm
It
talking
is what it
logic,
is.
and it doesn't.
Right, exactly. That's an issue in this
AEW,
company.
but it does seem like that's where they're. It does seem like that's at least partially what they're going for, because she did ask her, "Is that the arm you stir with?" and then attacked it. Like that was a thing that she was doing. So, we'll see.
Again, this is AEW though, Chris. Logic is straight out the window. Jeez.
Well, that's surprising that she would attack the arm, because if she really did think that Red Velvet was a baker, I wouldn't, stop her from making me something. It doesn't look like, and being Italian, that Deonna misses too many meals, which has been somewhat of a criticism of her in her career. And it's absolutely 100% the reason that she doesn't have a job in the WWE right now, because that's how they
That's
think.
exactly, yep.
Right. It's nothing that, not that everybody has to be, skin and bones or whatever, but I know that's what they were thinking, and that's the reason that they just couldn't tell her, but that's why she's not there.
And they caught it quick too. Is when she was starting to gain weight. You know what I mean? And to be fair, she was in good shape in WWE initially.
And I would, and for some strange reason, Aaron Ben Shlomo keeps thinking that Deonna Purrazzo, I think, is in Ring of Honor, and she hasn't been the Ring of Honor champion since before Tony Khan bought it, I think. So. She's been in Impact this entire time, and she just recently came free. So not really sure what he's confused about there, but
that's Athena, Aaron.
Yeah, Athena is the Ring of Honor champion, and goddamn, can we get her on Collision, please? Because I'm tired of this same old shit. But
and woman that's actually killing it in the AEW Ring of Honor universe, but you wouldn't know it.
Right. I don't care what they posted on their YouTube channel. I'm just talking about everything up from today.
Yeah, that was from the past.
I watched the most recent episode of Ring of Honor, so she's not the fucking champion. She wins with the Venus de Milo, which, if you don't know, is like Rings of Saturn, basically. But I like that name because it goes with the whole virtuosa and Renaissance and all this other stuff. But also, the Venus de Milo doesn't have arms, so. It's just one of those little touches that's, something that Red Velvet would like. All right, now speaking of something I would like, damn it, Hook versus. Wow. Okay, now here's the problem. Okay, this guy KM, I don't know where they dug this guy up. Did he get lost on his way to Hard to Kill? Like, was he on his way to Las Vegas because he thought he was going back to TNA? And then he just showed up at Collision, and they were like, well, you can have a match with Hook, I guess. I haven't seen this guy in a minute. Maybe somebody in the chat can educate me on where KM has been, the great KM. But anyway, Hook beat the shit out of him. He suplexed him everywhere. Then he fucking choked him out. He's ready for Samoa Joe. Now, this is what you do when you're trying to give somebody a strong win going into a title fight. You don't put him over Willie Mack. You drag up some Impact reject and then have him... suplex the guy that's twice his size onto the ramp. That's what you do. It's Hook time, baby. I ordered this. This was what was on the menu, and I ordered it. I said, give me one of those. Okay? Not the dirt, the man. Hook.
Well, you do have the man. I can see the man in the background there over your shoulder. It's like he's watching you there.
Oh, you mean this guy, Jimmy?
That guy right there, indeed.
Yeah.
The
Series 7 Unmatched Collection Hook. First run.
That would be worth a beat in the future for sure.
That's why I'm holding on to it.
The Hookster, brother. But you know what? When is this match? Did the match get officially announced? When was it again? The Hook Samoa Joe match?
It's Wednesday.
That's right. This Wednesday.
It got announced last Wednesday, and it's coming up this Wednesday.
And
Aaron Ben Shlomo says Hook needs to lose in 60 seconds. You know what? You're dangerously close to getting a timeout, Aaron Ben Shlomo. All right?
What's he saying? What is
This is how you get time
60
outed.
seconds? Do you think actually he brings up an interesting point? Because, let's be real, he probably will get choked out in under a minute. Or, since logic is out the window with this company, is there a good chance that Hook actually gets a good 5 minutes with Samoa Joe?
Hook better get 10. And a win. New champion, Hook. Fuck this whole storyline with MJF and all this bullshit.
Imagine.
Hook is the champion now. Hook,
Man,
2 belts.
If you want to get people talking and absolutely lose their shit, honestly, imagine they took that belt off Samoa Joe this fast to Hook. Wow.
Yeah, they're not going to do that.
That would be the wrong kind of conversation.
Yeah, you don't want to.
my
You don't
God.
want to do that. Okay. All joking aside, which almost none of what I said was a joke. But if there was any joking, let's put it aside. What I'm actually excited about for Hook, right? Because everybody knows I've been pulling the Hook bandwagon myself with my teeth like a strongman competition.
Yeah. I was with
but
you,
here's
but
what
then
I'm-
I started dropping off.
Here's what I'm actually excited about for Hook, because Samoa Joe will be, I'm quite sure,
Catering?
by magnitudes, the best person Hook has ever been in the ring with. So he needs to be in there with guys who know what the fuck they're doing for a change, and
That's
not just
true.
fucking daddy
Facts.
magic all the time.
That's fact.
Like, we're done with that. You can't teach him anything with 2.0 and even this, the fat guy from Impact 6 years ago. You need a real top guy professional like Samoa Joe that's been there, done that with everybody. One of the rare guys to get a match with Brock Lesnar, he's done it all. He's done all there is to do. And that's what Hook needs to be in the ring with, a guy like that. He will learn more in that one night than he's learned in the past year. So, and that's not even a knock on Hook. That's a credit to Samoa Joe and what Joe can do. So that's what I'm actually excited about. The match can be whatever it is. It's not going to be a 60-second match because it's AEW and it's a title match. They don't do that, regardless of what you.
Well, they did.
Well, but wait, when do they do that?
CM Punk versus John Moxley.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true. If only CM Punk had seen Rocky 3. But so anyway, yeah, that's basically what I'm saying. I'll turn it over to you, Chris. Like, this match with Hook here, which is like this is what they thought they were doing with Dustin earlier, and it wasn't. But this is what they were doing with Hook, and it was. So, that, and looking forward to Wednesday. Your thoughts, please.
Okay. Yeah. First of all, the match was exactly what it needed to be. Like, I mean, Hook needs to go out there and just fucking mow through this guy, right? Because who is this guy? This guy's nobody, right? That this is the point of having enhancement talent, is so that you can enhance the other guys. That's the point. And this made Hook look like a serious threat, right? I mean, as serious as a 145-pound guy can be against somebody like Samoa Joe. I'm not even making fun of him. I'm saying, like, Samoa Joe is a very large, very dangerous man. You've got to do something to try to make Hook look like he can compete.
He should just run. Just keep running from him so he gets tired and then puts the Katsuhajime on and it's out. It's done.
That would be funny, but I don't think that's what they're going to do.
Hook never runs. He faces every problem head on.
That's right.
But I think that Vet's also really, really right about the fact that, like, this kid needs some time in there against real pros. And the fact that Joe said yes to this, where it seems like nobody else wants to work with him, and I say that because nobody else has, I think that it shows a lot on Joe's part that he's saying, yeah, give me some time with the kid and I'll teach him up some. And I think that the most appropriate way for this match to go is about 6 minutes. I think that it needs to start with Joe dominating and just looking like he's playing with them, but then he can't get the win. And he's getting frustrated because the kid keeps kicking out or he keeps escaping or whatever.
And eventually they do the Bret Hart Austin spot almost where he doesn't give up, like he puts the choke on, doesn't give up. And
so I think that's an important finish, but I also think it's important that Hook gets at least 2 to 3 serious hope spots. And I mean serious hope spots, like spots where it looks like he actually might get the roll up victory or might choke out Joe or whatever. There needs to be a couple of real serious close, like near falls. And then I think Joe wins in the end by choking him out. And you see very clearly that, the kid's fighting it and he's not going to, and, the referee asks him if he's going to tap. Maybe he grabs the referee's shirt and shakes him while he's getting choked out.
Don't be
something
surprised
really
they get
dramatic.
Taz involved, where he throws the towel in the ring. There's no secret that Taz and Joe have got a history. I mean, Joe looked up to Taz.
You could do something like that too, right? You could do something like that. But it's important, I think, that the kid gets enough time that Joe can talk to him in there and be like, okay, relax, just chill, right? Sell now, right? And can tell him exactly what to do, walk him through it. Because Joe's a guy who can do that. And also, again, Joe seems to be the one who's willing to do that with this kid. So I think it needs to be about 6-7 minutes long. It can't be much longer than that, because then you risk not just building the kid, which you can do in 6 or 7 minutes. You can build him in a 6 or 7 minute match against Joe.
Absolutely.
But I think if it goes much longer than that, you're risking Joe at that point, because as much as I like Hook and I think he's got a lot of potential, he's not there yet in the eyes of the fans. He's not there yet in the eyes of the people watching. I don't think it would be good for Joe to have a 20-minute match against this kid right now. I think the first one needs to be like what I said, and then 6 months later, maybe Hook can get a rematch or something, and we can see Hook have a better showing. But I think that the first one needs to be like what I said, about 6-7 minutes, 2 or 3 real serious close spots, and he needs to lose.
And you bring up a good point, Chris, because if they're smart, and we all know that really this company ain't too smart, but if they were, hypothetically, they can play up on this in the future, where when Hook eventually improves and becomes, a much more bigger threat, they can go back to that match and point out the history between himself and Joe. And I don't doubt the fact that Joe would have asked for this match. For some reason, I get the idea where he might have even wanted Hook to be in this match and say, I can get this kid over, bring me Hook, you watch, I'll do it for you, Taz.
Send Hook.
And send Hook. Just as long as they don't call him cooked after the match, if you know what I mean. If they totally squash the kid, it would make sense still, but
I hope they
give him
don't.
some hope spots.
Yeah,
I hope they don't either, right?
I don't think it would be appropriate, even for Joe, to just squash him. So I think that Joe is the kind of guy who, if he was going to defeat somebody like this, he'd want to play with his food a little bit. Like
Absolutely.
that seems like Samoa Joe. So I think, like I said, the way that I laid it out is, it's just my opinion, but I really think that that's the best way to get it over.
But will they do that, guys? That's the thing, man. And
it's fucking AEW, so it's going to be a 17-minute match, and Hook's probably going to, nearly choke out Joe 3 times.
My God.
It's AEW.
Oh.
Well, there again, it's like you. This is where it's beneficial that Tony steps back and lets the wrestlers handle these kind of things, because he's going to let Joe have the kind of match he thinks is best. And that, in this case, it's a good thing. So you could easily pull 20 if you know what you're doing. That's no problem. 20 minutes can go by just pretty much like that. They need to build
up the kid a bit more, though, before we go to a 20-minute bomb.
No, you don't. You don't. Not if you know how to do it. That's the magic of pro wrestling. You can do anything that you want if you can make it make sense. You have to be able to do it so the people don't shit on it. But you could easily get 20 out of this. Easily. I don't know if they will, or I don't know if they want to. No. That's up to them. But
if they did do that, it has to be one-sided, I think, most of the match, where he's playing with his food, like Chris said.
Yeah, it's fine. But that's the thing. Like, one of the things you notice in Joe matches is usually Joe is the one that puts himself in danger. Like, he's just going for something and misses it or whatever. Like, it's fine. I think the story of the match should be Hook can't get the red rum on Joe, and Joe can't keep the coquina clutch on Hook because he can escape it. So if you tell that story,
it's the same move essentially, right? So I mean,
kind of. But the point is, Hook knows grappling, so it would make sense if he can't get him, wants to choke the kid out, can't choke the kid out, so he has to settle for the muscle buster. I'd rather see a story like that, because then it is like, well, Joe couldn't do what he wanted. So another way, that's a way Hook can get over while still losing, because Joe couldn't execute his game plan. He had to go to a plan B. That's a moral victory, whatever you want to say. It's just, there's ways to do this. It can easily be done. I say easily.
He's AEW vet. Was Vet frozen? Chris, are you still there?
Vet's frozen. I'm still here.
Well, I was going to elaborate a little more with what Vet said. For example, you could, like Vet mentioned, the muscle buster. Oh yeah, he's back. I'll just quickly say this: you can make it where he does the muscle buster on the kid, and like literally almost paralyzes him. You know what I mean? Like absolutely, kills the kid in a sense where you have a lot of sympathy for him. You know what I mean? But you can go so many ways. But Vet, please continue with what you were saying, because we really didn't hear the last bit. You totally froze, man.
Yeah, my internet's fucking up. I don't remember what the last thing you guys heard was. So
God damn it, Verizon.
You're talking about the muscle buster finishing off Hook, and then you froze.
Oh, I said, if you tell the story that Joe couldn't get what he wanted to get and had to settle for a plan B, that gets Hook over. I prefer a story like that. I don't like the idea of a grappling and submission specialist losing to a submission. I never like that. Unless that's specifically the story. Like if you had like a Daniel Bryan versus Zack Sabre Jr., I don't like Daniel Bryan tapping out Zack Sabre Jr. That shouldn't happen.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it just shouldn't happen. The guy who's better at the thing should not be the guy that loses to the thing. So even though Joe uses a sleeper, which fucking Brutus the Barber Beefcake used a sleeper, okay? Nobody's going to say that he's a fucking jujitsu expert. So Hook should be the guy that doesn't get choked out. So Joe just is like, well, fuck it. I'm gonna just knock you out then. And then he puts, he hits him with the muscle buster and puts the fucking forearm in his face. It's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
That's better to me for Hook than, but but you have to tell the story that, because of Joe's general size or whatever, he's able to avoid getting the red rum put on him too. It's just, like I said, that's how I would do it. Don't know what they're going to do. They probably are going to choke Hook out, but I wouldn't do it that way. I would, if I'm going to even bother to put Hook in a main event championship match, then I'm going to get the most out of it that I can. So, but what do I know? I'm just
surprised. Don't be surprised though that the match doesn't even end up happening, even possibly come main event time. I wouldn't put it past them where something happens to Hook before the match, and I wouldn't put it past them. I don't know, man.
That's a great segue, Jimmy. Because speaking of a main event that I wish wouldn't happen, it's House of Black versus GTFR. Where I get to invoke my Daniel Garcia main event rule, where much like I'll disavow two things on podcasts. One, kendo stick. If a kendo stick appears in a match, I can disavow the entire thing and invoke my right not to review it. I am now invoking my Daniel Garcia in a main event clause. If he appears in a main event match for any reason, I don't have to talk about it. I don't even have to watch it.
No a la carte here?
Yeah, I did not know. Not only did I not order this, I'm gonna give this a bad Yelp review for even putting it on the menu. So
Yelp review.
Yeah. So I guess I'll turn to Chris first. Here was this match.
Whoa, fucking! What do you even say about this? I don't know if you actually did watch it or actually didn't watch it, Vet, but man, some of this shit was embarrassing. I gotta say, very early on in the match, there was a hot tag to Daniel Garcia, and he came in like a house on fire. And by that, what I mean is that he was worthless and was about to be claimed by insurance adjusters. He came in.
It's okay, Chris.
I'm
It's okay.
struggling. I'm struggling to even explain how disappointing and fucking annoying it was watching what he was doing. He was throwing punches that were going over top of everyone's head like this, like the way that like literally like a 12-year-old girl throws punches, right? Like this.
Yeah,
He
literally.
was doing this on people with like
Mind
this
you,
was his punch.
You'll damage your knuckles doing that shit too, like a
You'll
bitch.
break your arm. He wasn't connecting with his fist. He was like connecting with like the tip, this part of his forearm to like the top of people's heads. He was slow. There was clearly like 8 or 9 times where and I'm just talking about this hot tag that he made. I'm one segment. There was clearly a few times where people weren't in the places that he wanted them to be. So he was like gingerly moving them over to where they needed to be and then performing a move and then doing this other thing where he was moving people around, and then at one point somebody grabbed his foot and he kicked them, and then he went to do a dive, but it was the slowest dive ever. Like it looked like Ric Flair trying to do a fucking dive now. It was
God.
not. Holy fuck, man. Why did you put this fucking kid with FTR? Like, I like FTR. I understand why Vet has this as his fucking caveat here. Oh, Daniel Garcia's in it. I'm out. Because holy fuck, man. And you can't blame the other guys in this match either. As much as like, okay, the Australian kid, he's a bit of a fucking plank, in terms of like his he has no personality whatsoever.
That's a fair call. Let's be honest. I mean, if
but
you're named after a dog,
ring, he's fun.
Yeah,
but in
absolutely.
the ring, he's pretty fun. Like he can do some pretty impressive stuff, and it looks like he's kicking the shit out of people when he's wrestling. Like he's a decent wrestler, bell to bell.
What's so dark about a name like Buddy?
You can't be part of the Dark Order if your name's Buddy. The
House of Blackness.
The House of Dark Houses. Whatever the fuck. Jesus Christ. You can't be part of the Order of Dark Houses if your name is Buddy. Buddy Matthews is just not a dark name. And then, yeah, like Brody King proved, I think over the last couple of months that he's pretty good in the ring. Like he can make a believable match happen, both in wins and losses. He does a pretty good job. I'm not saying he's the second Bret Hart or anything, but like he can have a decent match. And I think I still think Malachi is one of the most underutilized wrestlers in this company. I think he should be in the main event scene perpetually. Well,
the problem is they keep adding shackles to him.
Yeah.
He should not have a group.
Buddy.
He should not have a faction. He should be the sole focus of whatever he's doing.
Right, exactly. Spot on, man.
And Daniel Garcia should be the sole focus of the subway that he works for, because he needs to get the fuck out of pro wrestling. He's just not good. He needs
to change his name to Garcia Garciason now that he's changed. Now that he's tagging with Dax Daxon and Cash Cashton.
Oh my god,
Garciason. Is he Armenian now? Vet? Is that what's happening? Mm-hmm.
Garcia. I'm not exaggerating though. If you watch this match back, it's embarrassing. That first hot tag was like, what I could do better. I've never trained. I've never been trained. I can throw more believable working punches than that fucking kid. What are you doing?
Garcian.
Gotta yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, I can't comment on anything you're saying. This match didn't happen to me.
Oh my god.
Honestly, straight up, I'm gonna be honest. I fell asleep during this match, hence why I missed Battle of the Belts.
All right, the Dark Order of Houses wins. That's it. That's what happened.
There was a schmoz after, right?
There was a schmoz. There was a schmoz, and
someone run down to save the day.
Did somebody run down to save the day? I think I was so busy being disappointed with Daniel Garcia that I must have missed whatever happened.
The lights
I saw the finish.
He's Swedish now too, by the way.
Yeah. somebody ran in.
Daniel Danielson. Come on, it's
Daniel
better that
Danielson. Yeah, we already have one of those. We already have one of those. Okay, he's in the Blackpool Combat Club.
Oh man.
And the disciplinary committee. Who ran down?
It doesn't
somebody
matter.
came out. I forget though. I know.
Honestly, I fell
out.
asleep. Let me look this up. We have to like just say.
I'm waiting for the chat to put it.
Yeah,
normally,
chat, actually.
if I'm even like slightly off the mark, like there's several comments telling me they're correcting me. I just would like to. I was hoping for a little bit more.
Someone will tell us for sure. I mean,
but
at this point, clearly, because none of us realized who was running down, it was too dark to see.
Right.
I mean, clearly, I was out cold. All I saw was darkness.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, when you
the House
turn
of
the
Black
lights
was
off,
inside your eyelids.
they were. I mean, when you close your eyes, you literally see the House of Black.
It's like a House of Black, yeah. And you don't have to watch one of their matches, so it's like a win-win.
Win-win, absolutely. I mean, and clearly the chat doesn't even remember who was in there because no one is telling us. So.
Once the match was over, King attacked Daddy Magic, so you know the pluses just keep coming on this bullshit.
Wait, who attacked Daddy Magic?
But the Switchcomb did not run down to save him because he and Ruby were probably off somewhere. But
right, yeah, Garciason and FTR
and
made
Brody Burdison.
Yeah, so
well, actually, he's House of Black, so no.
Daddy Magic
said that.
Daddy Magic is the answer to everything.
Why don't they just call him Puppy Magic? Wouldn't it be at least funnier? I mean,
Magic.
Hey, I'm the puppy. Yeah, Magicson.
Daddyson.
Daddyson. That's even better.
Yeah. Well, as you can see how seriously we're taking this. This was. I don't imagine the grades are going to be too high for this. Battle of the Belts immediately followed this. I did not. I mean, I kind of watched it, but I didn't take notes on it. I wasn't able to.
I was sleeping.
Well, I did get some because what happens at the end here is they go off the air, but they sort of come back on the air with the street fight. So they're starting hot with the street fight. And so they, so in the street fight, you get all of your favorite, the green, you get all your favorite street fight things, including, lots of gentle walking. Like that's the number one thing. Whenever you see a street fight, you always gently grab a guy by the back of the neck and you guys take a stroll somewhere. Valentine's Day is literally 1 month away. So
that
I don't know.
Sexy.
Yeah, I don't know. They're jumping the gun a little bit with this, with all this, slow walking, but yeah. So you had, there was like all your favorites, like the metal garbage cans. When was the last time you guys were out in public and saw one of those aluminum garbage cans?
They haven't been around since the 80s, man. At the very least.
Does anybody?
God damn.
No, I have a story about garbage cans. Just
JD Drake. Oh wait. Oh, sorry. We did that part
from this whole show. When I was a kid, I used to steal stuff from my local Zellers. Zellers was like Kmart in Canada. I used to steal like action figures and stuff. And the way I would do it is because the action figures and the garbage like bins were like right next to each other. Is I would actually open them up from the package and I'd put just the toy in my pocket and then I'd throw the packaging into the big garbage cans that were there. Right now, this would have been like in like 1995, 1998 ish, like that era. Right. I was like 10, 11, 12. And I know that even then nobody was selling aluminum fucking garbage bins. So we're just,
I said the 80s, Chris. Not the 90s.
It's a while back, right? It's a while back since we had those fucking bins for sure.
Well, apparently people sell them, but I guess the only people buying them are pro wrestling organizations. So,
I mean, they were out of fashion when the WWE started using those trash cans in the 90s. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We got a golf cart.
Lab Rat's latest comment is fucking, that's clean. Yeah. The street fight looked like a man fighting two high school kids and a grandmother.
Kind of did. Kind of did. But when you said Streetlight, I got a Solo Sokoa flashback for a second. So. Yeah, so they had a golf cart spot where Sammy drove a golf cart and hit both Big Bill and Ricky Starks. And it was like it was sort of like the real life equivalent of the Austin Powers scene where the guy won't get out of the way of the steamroller. Yeah,
or the Big Show and Kane spot.
They just sat. There was a wide open. They were in a wide open area of the back parking lot area, and they just stared at it until it hit both of them. He had to drive like, I don't know, 75, 100 yards with the golf cart to hit him. Let's see. There was a backpack full of bricks. Because why wouldn't there be? They got a big windshield suplex spot in on Big Bill.
So this is for the 24/7 championship, but back in the 90s,
so. I think
when it was the hardcore belt.
Yeah, I think at the end of this, Bob Holly won. I'm pretty sure that's who ended up taking it home.
When he pinned Crash while he was sleeping, was it him that did that? I could have sworn it was.
Yeah, so the champions weren't even involved. So now Bob Holly is the AEW Tag Team Champions by himself. So,
well, Labrat wants to know: was it real glass though, Vet?
Oh, cry me a river, Labrat.
There you go. Nice.
Yeah, and then some other stuff happened, and then Sammy Guevara climbed up the big truss and just fell.
Sammy
off.
Doing Sammy thing fell off. Sammy doing Sammy things.
Pretty much, yeah. What you'd expect. He fell off. I guess. Yeah. What was it? Was it who pulled him off? It was somebody like.
Pulled him off.
Yeah, Takeshita and Hobbs got involved. Yeah, who pulled him off?
Well, Ty Conti, I guess, but
yeah, hey, no. No. She's at home enjoying being a mom. Like I'm sure a lot of these people. I'm sure Will Hobbs and Takeshita would like to be at home being a mom, but instead they're here, getting involved in this shit. So,
Hobbs pulled him off.
Yeah, for some reason
pulled him off.
Yeah, that's part because he's big, he's black, and he jacks.
Oh shit!
It was right there. I had to. I'm not proud.
The setup. You're all right. Man.
For some reason, the Don Callis family is involved in this, and there we go. And then some other stuff happened on the show. I don't know. Julia Hart successfully defended a belt.
She did.
Yeah, she won.
Yeah.
Wait,
cool.
Did any
her
belts
ass was
change
out
hands?
again? So there's that.
Cool.
Did any belts change hands?
Never.
No, you kidding me? Has a belt ever changed hands on Battle of the Belts?
I don't think it has. Not once. Straight up. Has there really been a championship turnover in any of these Battle of the Belts? I don't think there has been. I'll go one better. Has there ever been a World Heavyweight Championship match on Battle of the Belts? Not once.
Yeah, they're like, I'm going home.
Yeah.
Battle of the Minor Belts.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have a show named Battle of the Belts, I would think it'd be a little more interesting since you generally get 3 matches on the show. It's only an hour, so
right.
you give like 3 matches with time, maybe a 4th, but usually about 3. It'd be nice to see like those be exclusively for like champions versus champions, right? Like, a Ring of Honor champion versus an AEW champion, or one AEW champion versus a singles champion, or half of a tag team champion versus a singles champion, or
half.
Yeah,
I like the idea though. I definitely would prefer that. Yeah, have some kind of a battle of the belt holders. That would be
because if no belts are going to change hands, then you could just have a series of exhibitions where it's like no belts are on the line then, but everyone fighting is a champion. So like, some champion has to lose and some champion have to win. Just another idea for free, guys. You don't have to use it. I don't know anything. Who did I ever beat? Blah, 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 blah. But, essentially, there was one other match. What was the other match? Well, one bad thing about starting with the tag team match with that big ass street fight that took a long time. is that you didn't leave anything for anybody else. So like, I understand why they did it. They wanted to go off one program hot and start the other program hot so you wouldn't change the channel. But then no one's going to stick around for the ending. So it's you're basically picking your poison at that point. So yeah. Liz says, and the fact it's the 9th Battle of the Belts for a company that's been around, what, 4 years? Shouldn't this be an annual thing? Not let's do it whenever.
She's right. I mean,
Yeah.
it is literally whenever. I mean,
Yeah, but
literally.
because AEW.
Yeah, Todd Brantley.
Yeah, I mean, and like Revamp Wrestling 2K says, battle of the predictability. Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
This show is just, I don't even know why it's still around at this point. I don't even know what the contract says. I don't know if it's like for 20 Battle of the Belts, but this show should have been booked like WCW's Clash of the Champions, man. But it's not. It's nowhere near that.
So I wanted to say something before we go here, guys, because I feel like we're wrapping up here. But I did want to bring something up that I found really interesting. So I was listening to you guys talk before you guys introduced me, and you were talking about how Raw is now kind of the show to watch in wrestling, right? Did I get that right?
As crazy as that sounds, it's true. Right now, yes.
All right. When we first started doing this show, Collision had kind of become the show to watch in wrestling, right?
It was awesome at the time.
And it was that for about 2.5 months, right? There was a particular talent who was on Collision for that first 2.5 months, who's now on Raw. Do we think that maybe, just maybe, the cancer brings a certain amount of excitement to wrestling shows that he's on and is worthwhile? Because I was told, very, very often and vociferously by AEW fans that CM Punk was a waste of time and that he was going to be a useless signing by WWE, and they were going to ruin their company by bringing him in, and that he was just bad for business, and Tony Khan did the right thing by being afraid for his life. Because it kind of seems like, CM Punk is a good guy to have in your company, and maybe don't piss him off.
Well,
then you won't have to replace him with guys like fucking Edge.
Yeah.
And the Cope Open, because that sounds like ratings right there. But Josh says, interesting question, Chris. Punk is a needle mover.
Yep. He is.
I mean, not the kind of needles you guys think, though, because he's straight edge.
Yeah. Straight edge. Drug free.
Yeah.
I'm also drug free, but I'm not I'm not a douchebag to people about it, so I'm not straight edge.
Yeah, I didn't know there was a name for us before he came around. I just thought I was just a guy who didn't do as much drugs as people. But yeah.
No, you have to be an annoying douchebag about the fact that you don't do drugs. Yeah. Otherwise, you're not actually straight.
That has to be part of your promos before you debut, and then everybody still likes you for some reason. It's called a reverse Kurt Angle.
Boom.
Yeah, but
it's true.
Punk probably has something to do with Raw being good, but it's also coincidental because it's also at a time when just the arrival of Punk in the company, along with some others, some who have arrived and some who are yet to arrive, probably in a couple of weeks they'll arrive, surprisingly. It's all about, is Vince really gone? Because if he wasn't, we wouldn't be seeing certain people appear in the company. But the fact that 100%. They are is a telltale sign, that things are different. And when you get rid, when you're cleaning up a big mess that was left behind, it's best not to try to do it all at once. You kind of have to take what you can piece by piece and do like a section here, a section here, a section here, address them in the order of importance and whatever. And so now I think what you're getting is you are not relying on somebody to write for everybody, but you have a writing team. This is just my supposition now. I could be wrong, but what it looks like to me is, as a person who's watched Raw for the past, 30 years, it seems
Yeah.
like the writing team is being assigned to write. And the people who are assigned to write what they're supposed to write, you can tell by the segments on the show who's good at it and who's not. And if you got guys like CM Punk and Seth Rollins, or CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, or Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins, or whatever, whoever doesn't have to do as much work for those guys. And then the guy that has to do the stuff with Alpha Academy or whatever, maybe has a little bit more uphill battle, or like Judgment Day, but at least they get to play around with R-Truth now. So it's a little bit easier for them. But like, Triple H is not going to sit down at a computer and write a TV format. He just is not going to do that. If he has a writing team, he's going to allow them to write. And if it's not good, he'll be like, all right, let's go with it. And then next week, let's try to fix this.
Well,
but
the
it's not
ability
going to
to
be
delegate is like a really, really important skill to have if you're going to be an effective leader in almost anything. Like the ability to say, okay, this is your job, go do it. And then trusting that person to go do their job too. Like,
and he's
one of the
admitted
things
that. He said that too,
Yeah.
that he takes, but sorry, Chris, I just wanted to say that he actually
No.
said that on a
Yeah.
press conference where he goes, I let the writing team do their job, and then I, pick and choose.
Right.
And
Right, because he's been micromanaged most of his career by Vince McMahon, right? And probably recognizes, Jesus Christ, this fucking guy, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And not only, like, I'm not saying that, I'm not a Vince hater, right? In terms of, like, there are some people who think that, like, oh, the WWE would have been way more successful without him. I don't think that. I think Vince,
it's in to do this right now.
I think at different times, Vince's particular brand of insanity may have been necessary to keep the WWE going. I really think that. But I think right now they're in a place where it's really, really beneficial for them to have a good leader, the way that Triple H appears to be, where he tells people, listen, this is your job, go do it. I trust you to do it. And if you fuck up, we can fix it later. Right? Like, that's a really, really beneficial way, to grow your company and to grow the trust in the people who are underneath you. Because if you're constantly telling people, oh no, like you said this, don't say that, or oh, you said them, who's them? God damn it, who the fuck are they? Right? If you're constantly yelling,
belts,
and
not straps.
Right. If you're constantly yelling and micromanaging people, it's stifling, right? Even really, really talented people get really tired of that, right? So I really like what Triple H seems to be doing over in WWE in terms of like his business, like the way that he's doing things in terms of, okay, you have a job, go do it. But I, like you, that have some questions about, okay, like, how gone is Vince? Really? Let's wait and find out.
Yeah,
right,
apparently
but he's gone right now, right?
Yeah, pretty gone. I thought that long before people accepted it.
He did. That's true.
But
I'll give him
but
that.
nonetheless, I just see it differently for various reasons. But like you said,
you can tell by the booking, man.
Yeah, that's how you do it. Where the WWE was getting into dangerously, like it was like Howard Hughes territory. You know what I mean? I see him. Like, I just see it being like that, and everybody just having to deal with it.
But they recovered, they bounced back, man, and
and it's still not great.
It's
like
not
I
perfect,
said, it's
no.
Good is a relative term. Raw is good now because everything in wrestling sucks.
Yeah, exactly.
But of the things that suck, it sucks the least currently, and hopefully the trend will continue upwards. And eventually we'll get the whole mess cleaned up and we'll get people in place and we'll find out. Like, I think that Triple H is letting people sink or swim, and some of the people that he's trying to let swim that may be sinking in the fans' eyes, I think it's a case of he feels like he owes them because they didn't get a fair shot. So like if Karrion Kross didn't get a fair shot, he's going to give him a fair shot. And if he still doesn't do it, he might not be around just because he's a Triple H guy. It doesn't mean he's going to be a 100%. Triple H guy forever, but it's just one of those things. You have to give it a fair shot. And then if it doesn't work, then you can say, all right, we're moving on from you. But I just like the way things are going. And AEW's still like, people give them a lot of shit and they give Tony a lot of shit. They're so young as a company, and people lose the perspective of like,
right.
He's trying to try everything. He seems desperate in the things that he's trying, but he tries lots of things. It's not just one thing. He tries like technical wrestling matches. He tries high flying matches. He tries hardcore matches. He tries all these things. He tries to do storylines, like big, long storylines, little storylines. He tries everything that wrestling has ever done because he's watched it all. And now he's trying to throw it all in the pot and see if it tastes good. And it doesn't necessarily. So once he can get a sort of identity in place or get more experience, if he keeps it up long enough,
they've lost their identity though. At this point,
and look, there's a lot of reasons that happen and whatever. But I'm not here to say, what the man should or shouldn't do with his money or his company. I'm just saying, like, right now it's not good. But there's room to improve as he learns lessons, and everything can't be, a microwave instant successful wrestling promotion. So, I even though I'm going to give this show a grade of I'm going to give it a D, and you can thank Hook for not getting an F because you really effed the rest of this show. And even the opposite of Hook with the Dustin thing, like I said, like that should have been a thing that did good for Willie Mack and Dustin, and you killed both the guys. Not that it ends up mattering. No one's going to care in like a week from now, but just as an example. So I'm giving it a D, and they still got a lot to learn. They certainly got to sort out. Collision's got to sort out its own identity. Even within AEW, got to find an identity. So
absolutely, it's totally lost its identity now. I mean, shit.
Yeah. So right now, their identity is just throw everything in there. So Jimmy, what do you think? What grade are you giving this show?
I agree. D for Daniel Danielson. That's what this one was. I mean, I could easily go an F though in saying that because again, the thing that gets to me, and you're totally right about what you said about Tony Khan and AEW. But the thing that's alarming to me, before Chris gives his grade, is let's go back to 2019 just briefly and compare that time. I mean, their way of booking was so much ahead of their 2023, 2024 so far. Like, it's not funny. I mean, there was storylines, there was continuity, there was, I don't know, man. Things were different. Maybe because it was new and there was that hope that saved pro wrestling. And in many ways, if it wasn't for AEW, we more than likely wouldn't get a pretty decent WWE right now. You know what I mean? So I thank them for that. But in saying that, they just need to find their identity again because it's fading. And, and their fans don't help either with the way they complain and moan all over Twitter. It's just, Anyway, I don't want to go on and on about that, but I just wanted to say that. And before we go, I need to correct something in the chat. I noticed you guys are fighting over who's the number one merch seller in WWE right now. It is CM Punk right now overall, but R-Truth was the number one guy for the week, not overall. So I just want to clear that up.
Yeah.
So yeah, but Chris,
and rightly so.
Absolutely. Hey man, he's killing it. But Chris, tell him your grade, man. I mean, what can you possibly give this shit?
A-, just because JD Drake lost, but I got to see him wrestle, so just kidding. God
damn it, pal.
I'm gonna give this an F. This was definitely a show where, I mean, right straight through, it was nothing but bad. One good segment that lasted a minute with Hook, couldn't save it. Everything else was either skippable or actively bad.
Come on, Hook didn't give it a D minus even? It's a third
an
of
F
a grade.
plus. F plus.
F plus.
Yeah.
I don't know what's worse, an F minus or F plus?
F plus is like a little better. You haven't quite failed. But
you failed.
Yeah, if 50% is a pass, you got 50.1%. It's really, really bad. Yeah, so much of this was wrong. Edge taking up 20 minutes to start your fucking show, and so much of it was him just fucking yakking.
Saying
Literally.
y'all.
And
Say-
y'all, yeah.
He said y'all. That's like an instant like D.
And
Like,
not
you
in the
can't-
country way either. He didn't say it like that. He
No.
said it like the white kids on social media.
Hi y'all. Not good. But anyway, yeah, I'm happy to be back, and I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy that we're getting the fuck out of here inside of 2 hours. And yeah, thanks for holding down the fort for me, guys. Next week, I'm planning on being back and
He's Michael
hosting
Jordan,
and
baby.
all that wonderful shit. That's right, wearing a 4-5. Coming back. So yeah, happy to be back. Thanks, guys.
I'm back. Yeah, well, guys, that's a wrap. That was your Collision and Battle of the Belts review shows. But anyway, in saying that, Vet, tell them where they can find you, man.
You can find me at Opinion Haver on all your favorite social media platforms. You can find me every Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern with Big Ray Hernandez for the Next Level Wrestling Review, where we just had Von Lilas from Wrestling with Rip Rogers.
Great show, by
Ask
the
Rip
way.
Rogers Live, which that show coincidentally comes on at every Friday at their concrete time of whenever time it comes on. So go to there and subscribe and click the bell to get notified and smash the like and all that other stuff that they do. They just had a series of great interviews, with the likes of Mark Henry and, there's too many people to actually. Ace Steel, which caused some controversy.
great one
Then
too,
Stephen
yeah.
P. New, which caused even more controversy.
Stephen P.
They're
New,
causing
Stephen
the
P. New.
controversy, but their show's not getting the credit that it deserves. So hopefully they just hit 9,000 subscribers thanks to single-handedly Media M5. So all his accounts. So go definitely. But you're definitely going to want to go check them out for everything they do. They just had the Outrunners on, which I think Collision could use a little bit of Outrunners. Thank you very much. One of the Outrunners of which was, at OVW with me. So I'm so happy to see him doing everything he's doing, Truth Magnum. And then, back to me. We got to talk about TNA, the return of TNA, Hard to Kill. You can hear all about it on the Impact Attack, which is every Monday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific, 9:30 p.m. Eastern with myself and Brandon. We're going to talk about new TNA champion Moose and hopefully last TNA championship Moose. They should bury him with the championship when his time comes. No one should ever beat him again. And so between a hook match and Moose winning the title, this is a decent weekend for me. But nonetheless, you can hear us talk all about that this Monday. So please join us live. But if not, if you can't do it live, channelattitude.com, of course. You already know about this show, The Wreckage. Glad to have Chris back finally. And to wrap things all up, Stevie Richards. He's wrestling with copyright claims and other
ridiculous,
political digital bullshit that I'm sure that not that many other people are as much as him. But hey, when sometimes you're guilty by association, and that's all I'll say about that. But you can still check out the content that he puts out on his YouTube channel, on his Patreon. So Stevie Richards Wrestling Analysis, Stevie Richards Fitness, his tech channel T4, his big fitness podcast with Big Mike Barons or whatever it's called. Big Fitness Pod? Yeah, whatever. Big Fitness Show. So check that out. Check out everything Stevie Richards is doing, and that's a lot of plugs, but I'm finally done.
Oh, well, Chris, tell me.
I actually just disappeared like right at the 2-hour mark because I wanted to pretend like I was disconnected.
And I noticed,
Snack attack.
and I noticed you got my profile picture, and I've got Ben's profile picture. I don't know what the hell's going on here.
I don't know. It's fine. I don't mind having your profile picture. It's all right.
I was tripping because I'm like, what the fuck? Why is that me? But anyway.
All right. Well, you can find me on Twitter or the X. I'm at Chris Ambs 1. You can go there to see everything I have to say about pro wrestling, politics, and anything else that comes to my mind. Although it's been pretty quiet because I just kind of am not on Twitter right now because I don't feel like seeing all of the bad things. And seeing
It's weird,
people argue about stupid shit. So I'm trying to be a little more positive and just like sticking to things like Facebook, where I can, if you're annoying, I can just delete you, and then I don't have to see anything about you again. But yeah, you can also find me right here on this show, and also I think Jimmy and I will probably be doing the skirmish soon. So
yeah,
it'll be a little
Chris.
late. It'll be a little late this week, but that's mostly my fault.
Hey, look, it's better late than never, man. Yeah, we just took a little break because I mean, we haven't done a PWC show in about 3-4 weeks, man. So yeah,
okay.
we're gonna be back at it, literally, bro. So yeah,
that's what happens. I go to Florida, and we just don't do shit. But we'll be back at it soon here. Like I said, we took a little break for the holidays, but tune in, and we'll be on there, and we'll be doing great stuff.
Absolutely. And if you want to follow me on the X or the Twitter, you can, just right there at DJ Mass Effects. Also, like and subscribe right here at channelattitude.com, where for $5, not only do you get the realest talk in pro wrestling, but also the best in professional wrestling. Also, like and subscribe at Hamin Media Group.podbean.com for all our affiliate shows, and the PWC Network.podbean.com for all of our other shows, even though it's been a little quiet, but we'll be back better than ever in 2024. But in saying that, I am Jimmy T, that is the vet Jamie Williams, and that is Chris Ambs, and you've been listening and watching the HMG Saturday Night Wreckage right here on channelattitude.com via Hamin Media Group, and we're out. And before we go, thank you to all in the chat, and look out for the match that Vet was talking about, because we'll be playing right now. So in saying that, laters and peace.
Olay!
And welcome back to DCW Summer Scorcher. This is going to be a Scorcher of a match. It's the Bicker or Brawl match.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing first at 190 pounds, he is Electrico!
Electrico didn't look too happy in the back. He called the Soulcat Dream Blitz a loser. Can you believe that? The man who's been on the largest losing streak in DCW history. Oh, but there's one of the biggest winners of all time. The big man, the Brawl, the barroom brawler himself, Haidara Brewski.
And look at Brewski, he's jacked and ready to go, crazy as I've ever seen him. And I don't think Electrico's getting his first win today.
This is a midget.
And his opponent from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Haidara Brewski.
He just put the beer keg right onto Electrico. That's a heavy beer keg.
And look at Brewski, he's a nut. Electrico can't get that keg off his chest. Ramsey definitely isn't strong enough to pick it up. Brewski.
Oh, referee Ray Ramsey couldn't even lift it up, but Brewski treats it like a little baby. And there we see the Brewski bounce as he greets the crowd here. Oh, you just know that those... Oh, the pints!
Last call out of nowhere.
No. Wait.
Here's your winner, Haidara Brewski!
That could be record time. Well, one man is definitely going to be brawling tonight. One man is going to be bickering, and I know which is which. What a match that was. Don't go anywhere. Coming up next, it's the top ticket sellers 6-man tag team match.
Your winner,